Hello and a very warm welcome back to the garden. In this video I'm going to show you how to divide Calamagrostis. I've just started doing our annual cutback of our perennial border here in this sunny side of the garden, and what my aim today is, these Calamagrostis plants are growing beautifully well. We're starting to see some new growth beginning to grow and emerge from the base. Now in March is a really good time to be cutting back all of our deciduous ornamental grasses. So things like Calamagrostis, things like the acutiflora, things like your steepers. Now is a good time to be doing the cutback. Fresh growth will emerge from the base, and that will then carry the lovely new foliage and later the flowers. These two that I've got in the garden are Calamagrostis Karl Foerster, and these are very beautiful plants. They're very tall and very upright in stature. So what I want to do with these is I've got two clumps, and I'm going to divide each one into two so that I have four. And I have a couple of spaces in the border where we used to have last year our asters. We had to grow them last year in pots because they were having terrible trouble with the slugs last year. So I know ornamental grasses are perfectly fine. Slugs do not touch them one bit. So if you're looking for a garden which is more on the frame of slug friendly plants, the more ornamental grasses you grow, the better you're going to be, because slugs do not touch them at all. So what we're going to do first is just give these a cut back. So you can use shears, you can use secateurs, and just shear off up until where you can start to see the new growth. I'm then going to lift them, and I'm going to show you two methods of division. One is going to be with forks, so putting two forks back to back and dividing them the traditional way, and another way is the way that I generally do them, and that is just using a knife and just slicing through the root ball. So first of all, let's get them up and let's start the process. So I'm just going to remove the label so it doesn't get lost, and then you can use a fork, you can use a spade. We're just going to lift the plant out and just give it a shake. Try and get a little bit of that soil that's coming with it off. That'll make it easy. And then while it's out, we can then get the secateurs and give it a trim. And if you have somewhere where you can put all of these cuttings somewhere out of the way, which is not going to affect the look of your garden, somewhere, we usually use the end of the garden, these make perfect nesting material for birds. So we're going to keep some of this and we'll just use it at the end of the garden. There might be some creatures still hibernating in winter as well, so I'll give these a chance to emerge as well. So with the clump lifted up, let's take this to the potting tray and we'll do the first bit using a knife. So with this now on the potting tray, I can just give it a little bit more of a tidy up and just pull out some of the old foliage that's already broken away. Now spring is the best time to be doing this kind of division, because if you do this in the autumn, which you can do if you really wanted to, but if you do this in the autumn, you are going to lose all that structure that will continue to provide the garden with during the winter months. So if you do it in the spring, it's already been, all that structure's already been enjoyed, and you can then just take back all of these branches. Now if you want to be careful, just like I'm doing, you can go through it quite judiciously. I like that word. Just being very careful not to take out the new emerging foliage. For those of you who haven't got the patience, you can just do something quite rough and just literally grab a bunch and just take it down to an appropriate level. Once this starts growing, you won't see all these old branches in any case. Okay, so with that now done, so as you can see, it does grow outwards like most kind of perennials do, and if I wanted to, I could get many plants out of this, because so long as you're taking up a small piece that's got a root on it, that's a new plant. But because I need some substantial pieces to go back into the border, I'm only going to divide this into two. So using the knife, now you can use a pen knife like I'm using. I've seen people use bread knives before with the serrated edges, so that's quite good for going through roots. But this is the one I tend to use, this is the one I prefer to use. So I'm just going to kind of find a dividing line which kind of splits up this clump into two, and then just using the knife, I'm just going to drive that knife right down in through those roots. You can hear it all crunching as you do this process. So you might need to turn it on its side and go underneath as well, just to make sure you get that cut right through the bottom. And then just a little bit of teasing, maybe some more cutting. You're then going to get two perfect clumps. So that's two clumps for the price of one. So that's those ones done. I'm going to dig the other one out now, and we'll show you how you do it with two forks. So out comes the next clump. And this time we'll place the green tray on the floor, and then using the secateurs as before, we'll just chop all of this growth down to the clump. Let's pop that there. Take out all of this. So there's kind of like a dividing line you can automatically see on this one, which kind of looks like I want to go down that route there. So with two forks, so you put one in one side, and with the other fork you place this back to back, and you might need to just put some pressure like that, and then using the forks back to back, you just literally prise them apart. Now you see that it's not as straightforward as sometimes you see on programs, and this is why I prefer to use a knife when cutting perennials up. But that should have given me at least a bit of a framework to start to split from. So we still end up needing a knife in the end anyway. And obviously some perennials will split much better with this kind of process, and some of them, like this one, has not worked out the greatest. So I'll put that clump with that, but you have got two clumps. Now unfortunately one clump is slightly bigger than the other, but that's perfectly fine. So we've now got four clumps. Which method you choose to divide your perennials, it's entirely up to you. You'll see me a lot of the time using a knife, which is what you've proven here. This is why I do that, because sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to manage 2 forks. If you do have, I mean, this is only quite a smallish clump. If it's a bigger clump, it is a lot easier to use 2 forks back to back. But I prefer the intricacy of doing that cut. It's almost like you're doing an incision, like if you're a kind of like medical person doing an operation on somebody, you can get to see it, and I kind of like that intimacy when doing the divisions, which is why you see me using a knife most of the time. So I'm going to place these back in the garden now, and we'll have now a clump of 4 from the 2 clumps we originally started with. So arrange the clumps as you want them to be in the border. I think that's about right. And then, using your trowel or your spade, pop them in the garden. And you want to be putting these around the same kind of depth they were originally planted. Give them a firm down. And I will be giving the whole of this border a mulch with some compost once the whole border's been cut back. Then we'll pop in the label. And there we go. That's all of them ready now for continuing to grow. And then give them a really good water. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the video, and I do hope it's given you a little bit of confidence when dividing deciduous perennial grasses. We'll see you very, very soon on the next video. In the meantime, please do take care and happy gardening.